going now, or?
Uh, Good. We are live now. So, hello everyone, and welcome to another Build on Hackathon workshop stream. Today we have Harish with us. Harish is from Covalent. He leads DevRel over there. He's the head of DevRel at Covalent. And today Harish is going to walk us through GoldRush by Covalent, what GoldRush is, and how you all can use GoldRush in your hackathon projects to qualify for the GoldRush by Covalent bounty. And now I'll pass it on to Harish so that he can explain about GoldRush, talk a little bit about the bounty. And Harish, over to you. I mean, if you want to greet hackers, talk to them, the stage is all yours.
Awesome, Sahil. Thank you so much for the introduction. And hey, everyone. Great to be here to talk a little bit about how GoldRush, which is powered by Covalent, can be a toolkit that you can leverage to build your hackathon projects quite easily and rapidly. Like a lot of the sort of common things that you might want to leverage on-chain data for, we've tried to simplify that as much as possible through a host of tools that we offer in GoldRush. So yes, I'm Harish. I look after DevRel at Covalent, and what I want to do to start is just give you a quick sense of what is Covalent, and then what problem we're solving, and where GoldRush sort of fits into the picture. We've actually done a bit of a rebrand this year, introducing GoldRush more broadly as the namespace for all our developer tooling. So I just want to spend just a couple of minutes talking a little bit about the distinction between Covalent and GoldRush, and then dive into the details of how you can actually use GoldRush to get building. And then we've got some code demos and some actual templates that you can get started with right away. So if you look at the Web3 space, you've got lots of chains, you've got lots of different data standards, and you've got a lot of very interesting and exciting use cases popping up. And so the goal of Covalent from the very beginning has been to serve as this unified layer that allows developers to access on-chain data in a way that's effective and quick for them to leverage into their application. And so what this means is you don't need to worry about the underlying chain nuances. You don't need to worry about hosting any of the infrastructure. You just get access to immediately available on-chain data through a set of tools that developers are already accustomed with. And that's really the focus audience for us. There are obviously projects that love, tinkering with infrastructure and want to build this out themselves, and that's great. We definitely encourage that, actually, because the idea is that when you get to some sort of pivotal moment in your growth stage, and you take a look at what you're actually delivering for your end users, the focus should be on that product, not the underlying infrastructure that takes a lot of time, a lot of resources. And in sort of this multi-chain space, it can have all sorts of interesting nuances that, given that we've indexed over 200 chains, we know there's a lot of customization that almost happens under the hood that we have to deal with. So it is a bit of a challenge, but that's basically the value proposition for Covalent. And so, in sort of being around since 2017, we've amassed a pretty robust size of projects and developers who are building with us. And the key problems that we're looking to solve would be sort of the very fundamental things that developers are trying to do in order to leverage into their application. So it'd be things like being able to get all the holdings for a wallet, all the token holdings for a wallet across multiple chains. And maybe you're building this out in your wallet or portfolio tracker, using it for token gating. And so there is a dedicated API for that use case. Maybe it's just fetching the full transaction history with a decoding of the event log, so you have some context in terms of what those transactions represent. and maybe you're building a DEX dashboard or you're doing some accounting or building out tax tools. So we've got a transactions API for this. NFT data, a lot of the very interesting stuff for NFTs actually lives off-chain. And so if you're building a gallery, or again, if you're doing any sort of token gating or tracking real-world assets, there is an NFT API that we offer. And then maybe there's everything else that you might be interested in, whether it's respect to the block data, individual event logs, or even just some of the gas details for the various chains that you're looking to support. Maybe you're building out a block explorer, doing some interesting analytics. So we have a blockchain data API. There's a few more, but I think this sort of covers the key ones that might be of interest for you to leverage into your application. And so what we've done is we've built out a suite of interfaces essentially on this robust and broad data set that can be used whether you're a developer or whether you're an analyst and you're looking at charts and reports. And that's what the second tool increment, which we're not going to cover in this workshop, is about. But GoldRush is really the set of developer tools that can be used to leverage this extensive suite of on-chain data. So that's just a quick intro in terms of what Covalent is and what we're trying to solve. And now let's dive into the real interesting part of this workshop, which is the various aspects of GoldRush. So if you start from the Build on Hackathon page, I just want to give you a sense of where you can find a lot of these resources. So we have a description of the bounty that we're offering. And then if you actually take a look at the list of GoldRush add-ons, this will take you to the QuickNode portal or marketplace, and you can see, here's the GoldRush wallet API that we talked about, the transactions, the NFT, the blockchain data, a couple more. And so everyone here who's participating actually gets free access to any of these add-ons as part of the onboarding to get started with this toolkit. So what I'm going to do is go into my portal here for QuickNode and just walk you through how you basically find the key details that you need for GoldRush, and then the resources that you can access through that. So here I've just set up an endpoint, and for each of these endpoints, you can see that you can get some of the details around how to use it. If you go to the add-ons, I've just gone ahead and purchased the wallet API and the transaction API. And so from here, I can actually sign into the dashboard. And the reason you'll want to go to the dashboard is this is where you get your API key. And once you've got the API key, you can use the full suite of GoldRush tools. So if I click on sign into the dashboard, this will then SSO into the GoldRush platform. And so here is my API key. And I can see some code snippets here. I can see some of the additional details, usage, etc. But I'm going to basically, again, leverage the information around the API key to then be able to go ahead and use all the GoldRush tooling. So as part of the support that we're providing for the QuickNode Hackathon, there is this Hackathon starter kit that we've put together. And so let's go through this. I believe it's linked from our resources. If not, I'll make sure everyone has access to this. It's just a public Notion page. So we have a little section here on how we typically judge projects and what the sort of the categories for evaluation are. We talked a little bit about the APIs that are available and what they offer and the use case. And so let's look at the actual set of tools that make up GoldRush. So the first is the GoldRush APIs, which I think if anyone's familiar with Covalent and GoldRush, this is sort of the entry point that you would be most familiar with, which is are REST APIs that are effectively unified in the sense that you can fetch balances, transactions, NFT assets across all our supported chains by simply just changing one path parameter, which is the chain. And so clicking on the GoldRush API link takes us to the API reference. And here is where you can actually, just through the browser, you can try all the endpoints that we have available. And I'm just going to go back here and copy the API key. And now I can actually just go in. I think I've already pasted that in here. So for example, getting activity across all chains for an address. If I put in, let's say, demo.eth, I can just run this directly in the browser and I can see the response. And this basically gives me the list of all the chains that Covalent and GoldRush support that this particular address has been seen on. You'll see that there's this sort of last seen at. So this is a really useful onboarding API in the sense that you can, have a user enter in a wallet address, do the scan, and then present them with a list of chains, for example, that they can select from. Or if there's only a subset that you intend to support with the app, that you can basically fix and then just say your address has actually been seen on these supported addresses. So yeah, this is a pretty straightforward reference. You can go ahead and try each of the endpoints out. This is typically our sort of go-to resource in the sense that it's most up to date. The documentation here highlights what's possible and any limitations that might exist. We do have this also obviously for the other tools, but this is typically the one that's kept most up to date because it is the most heavily used. The second developer tools that I want to talk about here is the GoldRush SDK. So I'm sure everyone who's participating is familiar with SDKs. We've got sort of two key ones that we want to highlight, one for TypeScript, one for Python. And this just makes the experience a little bit more seamless in the sense that it's just an NPM or Yarn package that you can install. You effectively configure a client with the API key that you just saw, and then we have all the services that we offer, nicely namespaced, and then you can actually also leverage the features in like VS Code to have all the methods pop up, and you can tab complete and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of nicely built out for both TypeScript and for Python. The third one I'm going to talk about is the UI kit. So this is these are cool because they're actually quite visual, and you can actually drag and drop these components very quickly into your application. When we talk about getting started and building quickly with Onchain Data, we also like to highlight that these components, these React components, are very quick and very easy to use, especially in a hackathon setting. And so I'm just going to click on this link here, which is to public GitHub. Again, this is all open source. It's built on Storybook. And I'm just going to show you a couple examples of what that Storybook interface looks like. But pretty easy to get started, again, with NPM or Yarn. And then you've got some snippets here that you can leverage, and then some templates that we're actually going to dive into. This link here is actually to the live Storybook view. And so for some context on how the GoldRush UI kit has been built, it leverages this framework where we start with components that we call our atoms. And these are sort of these fundamental components, as simple as just the way the address is displayed, or an NFT card, or a particular pool in, let's say, Uniswap, or an avatar. And then from there, we build out more complex components, which we call molecules. So this is an example of, let's say, the address activity, where you can see the number of mainnets and testnets that your address is on, or the address details, looking at the total token holding. And again, these are all ready to go data-powered components that you can quickly add into your application. And it's actually dynamic too. That's what we quite like about Storybook. So you can actually go down into the control pane here. And if I were to update that with, let's say, demo.eth, sometimes it doesn't refresh as quickly as you would like, but you can just hit the little refresh and it will update with the data for the address. And I can also pick different chains that we support. So this is all sort of live with live data. And then combining these molecules allows you to build these really more complex components, which we call our organisms. And these are more refined templates, if you will, where you've got multiple molecules combined together to actually give you a view that you can use in your application. So here we have the view for a particular address in terms of the chains that were last seen on. There's like the NFT collection view. So this is, again, ready to render into your application, particular collection. And the nice thing again here is this is all live. So if I go in and change this to, let's say, pudgy penguins, then we can see that get rendered with our API. So pretty quick and easy to leverage. So let's take a look at how we actually use these React components to build our own templates. So as I mentioned down here in the GoldRush Kit GitHub repo, we've got a block explorer, we've got something called Decoder, which I'll touch upon in just a few minutes. And then we've got a couple others around like a revoke hub and an airdrop assist. So here, there's actually a couple that I don't think were listed, but we've got them listed in our Hackathon starter kit. One is the wallet and portfolio UI. So let's just have a quick look at this. So here, I can just enter in an address. And this will render the chain selector that I mentioned. And we saw in Storybook, let's say we just pick a couple of these chains, and now you get a full table with the balances, quote, and the delta to the day before. This is a 24-hour delta. And then I can actually go and take a look at the transfer history. And then this uses our transaction API to then give you this view of all the transactions along with the hashes that go to an external block explorer. So again, sort of a nice, simple table that is ready to go and can be, pretty easily customized for your application. We've got a view for NFTs. And if you look at the settings here, this is just kind of built to give you a sense of like just being able to change your colors to the radius that is used for the buttons. So some basic things, but again, you can kind of take this and really customize it to your needs. Okay, so that was the wallet portfolio UI. A quick look at the NFT collection gallery. Again, these are just templates that we've built with our own GoldRush UI kit. And so here we've got NFT collection. We've got some stats on floor price and sales history. And then for each of these, we've got a rendering of the asset with some of the attributes. So fairly basic, but again, kind of demonstrates the ability to, and so this kind of highlights, we've got a few different image sizes that we provide with our NFT API. So you can quickly be able to change the size depending on the viewport or the selection by the user. So yeah, this is our NFT gallery, pretty easy to navigate around and use in your application if you want to have any NFT rendering as part of it. And then the last that kind of ties it all together is this block explorer. So let me open that one up. And so the block explorer here, again, kind of leverages a few different components. We have one where we look at the latest blocks, the latest transactions. Again, if I put in a wallet address here, Then we can see the list of transactions. We can see the activity of what chains this was active on. We can see the list of token balances. We can see any NFT balances. So again, it's just a way to, again, combine a few of these React components that we've built open sourced and made available for you to use for the hackathon. So yeah, this GoldRush Block Explorer is also open source, and you can take it, clone it, and update it as you like, and use whatever views you might want for your application. Any questions at this point here? I just switch back to take a look, and I can just keep going, but I've kind of gone through quite a few things so far. The last piece I'm going to go through is this decoder. But were there any questions to this point here, Sahil?
No, Harish, we don't have any questions yet. But if you're watching this after the live stream has ended, and because this video will be available on our YouTube, and if you have any questions during that time, we have a dedicated channel on Discord. We have a dedicated Covalent channel on Discord where you can ask your questions. It can be related to API implementation. It can be related to a particular use case where you want to know or you want to learn how you can implement that particular API from Covalent. Feel free to ask that in those channels.
Awesome.
There's not a question, but there's a comment which says, "Amazing product."
Oh, thank you. It's funny when you're deep in the weeds and all you see are bugs and that's all you're troubleshooting for the week. It's nice to just get a higher level perspective that it's actually a decent product and hopefully useful for developers like yourselves to use. This last one that I'm going to talk about, it is a bit more advanced, but it's also the one that has a lot of really exciting potential. And this is called the GoldRush Decoder. So the idea here is that I'm sure there's your viewers here who are familiar with projects like the graph, where you have the ability to create like custom transformations or subgraphs, and then be able to have this sort of bespoke API with a customized shape to power your application. And so the idea here is, being able to have the ability to create a custom sort of transactions shape, response shape or schema. And so it allows you to then be able to pull in sort of this custom shape into your application, so that you don't need to do a lot more like post processing to be able to get the data that you want. And what's cool with the decoder is, in addition to just seamlessly pulling data from our database, is you can actually pull in data from any other external API, do your transformation, your aggregation, any of that stuff, and then have a response shape that is specific for your application. So it's pretty powerful in that sense that you can actually combine it with external data feeds. So what I'm going to do here is, first I'll just open up this GitHub repo. It is also open source. And so there's a little bit of context here on how the GoldRush Decoder class is set up here, and where you set up your API key, how you run this. So what I'm going to show you is the structure of this repository in VS Code. And then I'm also going to have Postman running side by side, so that it'll kind of show you how you can basically host this decoder. And then when you pass a transaction through that decoder, what the response looks like. So it's kind of a nice way to be able to visualize that. So I'm just going to stop sharing this and then move my screen over. And then you'll be able to see both side by side here. Okay, just give me 1 second.
So in the meantime, if you have any questions related to the other sample apps which Harish demoed, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and Harish will be more than happy to address those questions.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, Harish, but I think if you can increase the font sizes a little bit so that it can be a
Yeah, for
little
sure.
bit more.
For sure. Okay. So what I've got here on the left is that GoldRush Decoder repo that I've opened up here. And let me just blow this up a little bit. And then on the right is Postman. So let me just also blow this up here. There we go. Okay. So the way the GoldRush Decoder is set up here is we've got under Services Decoder all the protocols that we've kind of seeded this repo with. And so you'll see there is the 4337 entry point protocol. There is Aave. There is Lido, OpenSea for NFTs, Paraswap. So a whole host. Again, we just kind of seeded this, but it's open for anyone to be able to take and then contribute or add a protocol that they might be interested in seeing supported here. So let's just take a look at Wormhole. We've got a config file, which is what I've got open here. And so here is where you would basically set the Wormhole contract, whether it's like a token bridge or NFT bridge. Those are the contract addresses that you see listed here, as well as the chain that contract is deployed on. And then we've got our decoder file. So what we've done is we've basically taken an event log like transfer redeemed, listed the chains that this event log is going to be supported across, and then basically built out our decoding that looks something like this. So you'll see the chain ID, the emitter address, and then we actually provide the details of the transfer itself. And so you can actually go in here and basically decode any event log in the shape that you want, as well as pull in any other external data if you wanted to combine with the event logs. And so what this looks like, if I actually run this now, is it'll run on localhost. And so I can go to my Postman, for example. I can specify a chain name. And what I'll do is, just pull a transaction off of any from the Wormhole contract. I can find any transactions associated with that contract. And then when I pass it through the decoder, it will now decode it based on the schema that I've asked it to. So here we can say this is the weld token that was transferred. Sorry, this is just really slow right now on my machine here. But basically the shape that we defined in our decoder .ts is what we will now see the response presented. So yeah, you can basically take this and apply it for any protocol. And then all you have to do is, went by really quickly here. So here, yeah, you can see the shape that we kind of built out. So here's the transfer event detail. Here is the DEX approval that took place, the actual token that got transferred, who was transferred from, the amounts. So again, the ability to create a custom schema based on a transaction, and being able to do this across any protocol that you would want to include. So the idea is we're kind of building out this repository of supported protocols, but pretty exciting just to see how this is shaped up. It's actually quite easy to add a decoder for a protocol. So we're hopefully going to build this out a little bit more, or kind of see what the community wants to contribute to this decoder. So yeah, again, a bit more of an advanced topic there, but for anyone interested and wants to take that challenge, we're definitely interested to see what you come up with there. So let me bring this back up, and I will share the deck again. Let me just change the size here so that it comes out okay. All right. So just to recap the tools that we talked about. So we've got the GoldRush API. This was the REST API unified across the chains that we support. We talked about the SDKs. There are a couple more that we have for Go and VM, but these are still, I would say, in experimental. So if you're comfortable with TypeScript, Python, I'd recommend one of those two. The UI kit, along with all the templates and the storyboard tool where you can customize these components as you like, and then the decoder to create sort of these customized transaction response shapes and also pull in external data. One common question we get is, how are we actually different than, let's say, RPC providers or other indexers or data APIs? So the reason why we work well with partners like QuickNode is we're sort of this data layer above the RPC, where our focus is on structured data sets for developers. And so what this means is, we don't have write capabilities to the blockchain. We also run 2 blocks behind the head. So it's near real time, but it's not exactly real time. And the idea there, again, is having this rich data set that allows you to build, views in your application that aren't necessarily dependent on, write capability, for example. So it is a bit of a different use case for what we're in the market. As an indexer, so we're constantly indexing each of the chains that we support. So there's no sort of waiting period for data to be available. And, we support, a lot of chains. And so we have a pretty broad spectrum that we cover, pretty good data coverage across the Web3 space. So in terms of what we're offering for the Build on Hackathon, we've got $1,000 in USDC, as well as another 1,000 in API credits to enable you to keep building. Second prize and third prize are both in API credits, and yeah, really excited to see how developers and users leverage GoldRush to be able to build out. But just one final point. Covalent actually came out of a hackathon. And so this was probably, I think, back in like 2017. And so, we do have to hand it to opportunities like this one, where something that started off as just an idea could, translate into a pretty meaningful, multi-year journey that's both exciting, exhausting, and everything in between. So we definitely are a big fan of supporting hackathons because our roots are in this, and it's really exciting to see the next edge of innovation and see what gets built. And especially now with like the AI tools that are available, there's lots of really cool features that we're seeing built, leveraging the AI models, our structured data, the RPC service that QuickNode offers, and then all sorts of other interesting creative ideas that developers have.
100%. Couldn't agree more to that.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I wanted to run through. Happy to take any additional questions, or if we want to leave it at that, I'll be in the Discord, and then happy to answer questions there as well.
Yes, 100%. So for whoever who is watching now, I can see that there are quite some number of people who are watching this live right now. So if you all or any of you have any question, feel free to ask them now. You can drop them in the comment section below, and we will get it up on the screen and answer those questions. And for people who are watching this after the live stream has ended on YouTube and get a question, as Harish mentioned, you can send them to the Discord channel with Covalent Partner Hackathon, and the Covalent team will be happy to answer your questions in that channel. All right. So
everyone wants to
like,
get on with building, so yeah, that's totally fine.
yeah.
Good luck with your projects. Really excited to see what comes out of this.
Yeah, and I think Harish, like most of the people or most of the hackers who are participating in the hackathon already know how to use Covalent, or they have or must have used Covalent at some point. So, but for whom or for those who have not, this presentation will be very helpful. And I think that you folks have done a really good job at creating that hackathon starter kit, because that is so comprehensive and spread out. It covers mostly everything, not mostly, but absolutely everything.
Awesome. Yeah. Again, it was a point where we're doing a hackathon a week or every 2 weeks. And so compiling all those resources and making that available is a key part of the onboarding experience. So yeah, again, happy to provide whatever resources to help developers. And if there's anything that we can do to further improve it, we'd love to get that feedback as well.
All right. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, we would like to conclude this workshop over here. And we are excited to see, and we will be waiting to see what you have built using Covalent APIs or Covalent GoldRush APIs. So again, I will reiterate this again, that if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Discord channel with Covalent Partner Hackathon name in it. And you can also tag Covalent folks by just doing @Covalent in that channel or any other channel, and they'll get a notification for your question or for your message. Thank you, everyone. Happy hacking.
Thank you so much, everyone.